This is Justin AMZN for Friday, April 26th, 2019, with a recap of post earnings on Amazon. Pretty crazy day. Pre-market ran right back up to these highs, not this crazy wick high that almost hit our line here, and the low that almost hit our line here. So nice ranges on that. And put in at the open, put in a really high wave candle, very small inside candle that then just collapsed right under 1925. Where else? Very much a non-event with how it opened. I'm sure a lot of folks were looking for a huge gap up or a huge gap down or something. And I mean, all the premium just got sucked out of so many options that, this was one of those days that it was better to wait till after earnings to go directional, because this was just a non-directional event. So look at what happened here. It was pretty choppy for the first hour and a half, 2 hours. You didn't get these small candles till, well, there's one here, and then you get a lower wick. So it would have been really challenging to trade this directionally. We moved up into the 21, didn't roll over here, pushed up a little bit higher, making a new high. It's fine to do that because it had these other highs to contend with. But there's some bulls jumping in, bears shorting it from there, bears trying to push it down right at the same high. These wicks, trying to get it to roll over. And then each of these times it pushed down a little bit, it went a little shallower. So this smaller bearish move, sorry, let me zoom in here. So this, the bears selling it down here, and then down here, we're trying to get it back down below this. And it's like, okay, that's a good level now. This is, let's see, 1911.15, 1911.47, 1911.64. So even this was increasing lows, right? No, sorry, 1911.47 and 1911.64. So these two were tweezer-ish, within 20 cents of each other. This low stayed above it. These lower wicks through here stayed above this. And you can really see this, pretty small triangle forming here. You get a really small candle at the apex, and then all of a sudden you get this move up. It's like, okay, it could bounce here. That's okay. It'll probably just run into 1925. We're so close anyway. This is not where to buy it. Everyone's looking for this to sell off. It's been selling off the last 2 days. It's just going to keep selling off, go back down and hit some of those exponential moving averages, and that'll be that. It's not what happened. Once you get in here, if you kind of squint a little bit, you got this bullish candle, 3 bearish candles, and then if you squint and kind of combine these two, this is a rest after battle right here. Oops, not what I want to do. That right there is a rest after battle, where it's a bullish signal, and it just shows that there is some rest after battle. Is that the right term? For some reason that doesn't sound right now that I actually said it out loud. I'll have to double check. But anyway, it's bookended by bullish candles and has some, it's rising, falling 3, rising 3, something like that. There's something with a 3 in the middle now. When I said there's 3 bearish candles in the middle, this is kind of the bears trying to move it back down. And then let's see, this low, 1914.48, 1914.44. So this got 4 cents lower. This got a little bit lower. This got a little bit higher. Well, no, it's still lower than this one. But the lows, it holds this area as a lows pretty well. And you can basically trade that. You can bracket trade this, get in above the higher of the bookends with a stop below the lower end of the bookends, or the low, the high by the low of this, or the low by the high, and that's a nice setup. And then it broke out, and then it retested back to really close to that high. The high there is 1918.66. The low here is 1918.58. It did get into the high, and then that moved up. And now we're following the 5 exponential like we've done before. Some small candles above the line that we're at. This candle, there were a bunch of bears that came in here thinking, okay, it's going to do the same exact thing as right here. And then it clearly didn't. Within the first, 10 minutes of this candle, it didn't. It's like, oh no, it's going higher. The the open and the low, the high and the close, almost a Marbozu, almost a $3 Marbozu. Pretty small, but okay, small candles, pull back. Okay, this is where it's rolling over. There's people getting in bearish. This is, it's going to keep going. No, it bounces, doesn't even touch the 20 and 21 and it bounces. And then it's just following the 5 again, grinding on up. And actually didn't even slow down, didn't even put in a bearish candle at this upper wick. That's crazy bullish. Like I'm a little surprised at how bullish it was. I did talk about a non-event. I just didn't expect to have this kind of a rally after 2 hours of just chop. It's like you can see all of this, larger candles. I mean, even a couple more here. These larger candles just chopping around, and people getting stopped out. People trying to call the direction right here. And after this, the majority of the day was smaller candles. I guess if you kind of look at it, maybe through here was the larger candles, and then the small candles started here, and there's some mix. So the next candle was larger, this one was larger, this was larger, a couple larger ones, larger one here obviously, but then like all through here, small candles. And if you're just counting how many in a row of either direction, I mean, there's plenty more bullish candles in a row. And there's a few spots of bearish that, if you kind of think about it, there's somebody who's selling there thinking that's the right location for it to roll over. That's the right location for it to start going bearish. Or, there may be some bulls that got in down here and they're exiting and they're just taking profits. That's a good place to take profits. Okay, I'll give you that. That makes sense. So it's where you have some of these candles where people are thinking, okay, this is even a reversal. It's starting to roll over, or they don't even know what a even star reversal is. Like I didn't remember the name of this, calling it a rest after battle, and now I'm thinking it's a falling 3 or something. So you don't have to know the name of it. You just have to know what that candle means. This is a really nice inverted hammer. Really nice. It's got, let's see, the close and the low. No, not the close. Sorry, the open and the low are 9 cents apart. So not quite shaved, but it showed that there's some folks selling here. There's a good reason to sell there, but it's also a bullish candle still. It's a positive candle. It's not a very bullish sign, but it's just meant go sideways. It's nothing strongly bullish here. You got the squeeze forming, and it took, normally it's the 8 to 9 bars. It took 6, 7, 8 bars to, really just find its footing. And then it was just explosive here, just continuing on. So if we look at some options here, I mean, at what point could you have gone directional on this and just held on for the ride? I'm thinking up in here, getting in above the high here, because you're really breaking some upper wicks, or you let it break those wicks, pull back a little bit, and look for unloading some at 1925 and unloading some up around 1940, and maybe get out of it by then. But you still missed another $10 of a move. We ended up closing, let's see, 1950, 90 cents. We actually closed near the high of the day. So here's the candle we formed. Look at this candle. Look how strongly bullish this candle is. Came right down into the 5. Actually put in, let's see, the low here is 1931. The low here is 1898. We actually put in a low below 1900 that got bought up so quickly. And then we retested here. It didn't even come down as far, but we retested into this large indecision candle, and then just rallied. Like that's just kind of crazy how well this moved. I was trying to find a candle similar to this. It kind of looks like this one, but this one's a little lower. This one had all this chop that it was coming down into. This is where, we were doing this sort of, double top and then kind of holding, and then it started to rally. It's like, oh, it's not over. And then it got up here. It's like, it really shouldn't be up here. Remember that? I think that may be coming. Now, I'm not suggesting all of this, like all that kind of sell-off is coming after this candle. But what I'll say is it's getting to the point that it's like, okay, this just keeps going up. It can't go up forever. if we get a move like from this hammerish candle, like this hammerish candle, if we get a move that goes, so strongly up, it's got to rest. It's got to slow down, right? Even if it does something like this again. So don't be calling the top. Let's see. If I duplicate this, did that duplicate? There we go. No, it didn't duplicate. Let me try again. No, it's not working. Duplicate? Duplicate drawing. I think it did it. There we go. Okay. I'm trying to line this up. Something like that. Okay. If we can do a hammer type candle here, like we just did here, I mean, it could totally run and hit 2050. Could it do that by May 5th? Sheesh, that'd be crazy if it did that. Or May 7th, sorry, May 7th. I mean, that's where this line, which is how we've been kind of tracking this downtrend here. What if that happened? What if we get to all-time highs? That's a great place to come back and do something like this and just rest there at all-time highs. That wouldn't quite be straight up, but we'd be following the 5 up. It would look very similar to this here if we could just kind of grind up. And this is more than a grind up. This is actually moving nicely up. I'd have to go back and look at some of my analysis that I did. I want to say it was back in here where I was saying we could be at 1900 at some point because, we're at 1900 this week. We finally got there. With earnings, we're actually higher than I expected, and we don't have far to go till we're at all-time highs again. So the question is, can we head straight there? I mean, can we get there quickly, or is another bigger pullback in store? Because I think there'll be a bigger correction after, even if it's just a 10% one. At this point, 10% is a pretty big move with this dollar amount. But anyway, we could go aggressively here, or we can get some just chopping around, come back into some of these lines, retest 1925 again. We did a lot of chopping around in here and in here. And, at first when we got into it, we had this candle that we gapped up above. We had some of these candles that, gave some good reason to keep going up. And we had a bullish gap and go back here. And we had a bullish gap and go today that actually trapped a lot of bears. So it's not a surprise that with the candle we had today, that we did something like bullish gap and go here and like bullish gap and go here. And instead of a bullish gap and go that just kind of, went sideways and retested, we got a really strong move above. The pullback, not what I expected. Let me say it differently. I didn't think we'd have as big of a move today as $53 range. I thought we'd chop around some more today, but we got seriously directional today. And if that's surprising me, there may be others surprised. And there may be other people who are buying up here looking for this to just hit all-time highs again, new ones, and then look it out. And if there's more people looking to do that, I mean, look at the volume. There's a lot of people buying today. There are a lot of people selling today, but there are a lot of people buying today. It could just be people piling in, and I mean, it'll move. So jump back into the 5. If we look at some options in this area, right around 11 o'clock, going bullish. I'm looking at the 1925, right at 11 o'clock, this 1925 option, put in a low of $1.50, put in a high of $1.80. I mean, you could have been buying this $2 by $1, getting in here with maybe a stop limit, possibly could have filled. And then from there, I mean, it ran up to $6 pretty quickly. That would have been an easy trade. That would have been great. That would have been, from $2 to $6. That's 4R. Great. Keep it. Then it pulled back, put in a low, almost 3. You could have still done 4 by 3 on its way back up, maybe gotten filled, or 5 by 4 over here, looking for it to pull back again. The small candles here were good indecision candles on the option. This was at 1150, 1155. So 1150, 1155. Yeah. So these are the small candles up here where it's like, okay, this is kind of due for some sort of retracement back into this line. Like it's a good line to have there. Nice clean numbers. Oops, wrong way. So it makes sense to have some smaller candles here. But once we pull back, once we pull back here, this candle, once we did that and then got it back above it, I mean, it was done from there. Now you wouldn't have known that necessarily, but could you have played it that way? Pulls back with this candle, it starts to move up. I mean, you could even be buying 5 by 4 based on this candle just to get into it. Maybe, a little larger R could have done 5 by 3, still could have done 4 by 3, 450 by 350, something like that to just start getting into this and seeing the potential that, okay, still in the last 2.5 hours of the day, what can we do? And we actually ran up in the next hour and a half, went sideways for the rest of the day while still making an all-time high. Even this candle sold off, came into the 21. We touched the 21. That was our bouncing point through here. That was a rejection point here, bounce here, bounce here. It was kind of, just, bearish rejection of the 21 till to right around 10 or so. And then it broke out. Yeah, 10:05 it broke out, chopped, and people were looking for maybe a double top here or something. And then from here, yeah, it just continued to rally. So that's the option. That's how the option. When you're back here, it just, the call just continued to rally from here, pull back, continue to rally. Got back into the high up here around 2120. So from 2120, I mean, if somebody bought up here, which somebody did, you could have been profitable by the end of the day. It's just crazy, the big move we had. We went from like $20 down to $2, less than $2, and then back up to $24. And there's a lot of opportunities to just get in bearish, get out, like go sideways, go bullish, get out. Just hard to carry these longer. It's like you're looking for signals, and it's like, okay, the signal on this move is you're going to trail behind the last bearish candle. That would have been this candle, and then this one, 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 and you're going to get in here. Sorry, you're going to get in here, and then you get stopped out here. Or you took some profits when it got up this high, and you hadn't been stopped out. It's like, okay, can't go up for forever. And then with this candle, I mean, maybe your stop was really tight. Maybe you give it a little bit of room. So figure out how that works for you and put some clear instruction and rules together. So the puts now, this is 1925 puts. They were losing value a couple times. They got a little bit of a bid, moved up $1, $2, moved up $1 or $2, moved up a little bit more. But yeah, overall, pretty crazy day how this all played out, and we're still bullish. We haven't gone back to say, okay, let's call the top, let's get them bearish, let's load up. Just not working like that. It looks like it's just going to continue to rally. So I guess we'll check back in next week and see what happens next. After hours today, we're just sideways. Obviously very different with earnings being Thursday night, but yeah, just chopping around. Good retest. You can see that it would make sense to retest 1925. Would also make sense just keep running right up to 1972.50. Could have a bigger pullback. Could have maybe this is some sort of trend and it's fitting with this, so it's going to retest that low and it'll get below 1925. We'll see if it gives us that opportunity to buy it. I'd probably want a little more rest and time, not just the price to pull back, but we'll see what happens next week. So I hope you enjoy this video. This is just AMZN. Thanks.